Chaos, welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Trisha, and in today's video I decided to redo Chaos's Enclosure, my ball python. So Chaos, for those of you that are familiar with him, he is a very picky eater. He only eats live prey, and it's a little bit frustrating, and because of that, like, he's also just weird about feeding in general. Like, I have to remove everything from his enclosure for him to hunt and eat. So I don't know, he's just a little weirdo. It's just, I mean, as long as he's eating, I'm happy and I know it works for him. So because of all of these weird little tendencies, this whole time I've been keeping him on paper towel. So you guys know that I'm like really getting sick of paper towel lately, and I just want to try and give him substrate and just overall just add more enrichment to his enclosure. He also just doesn't have a background whatsoever, and it's just clear glass, and you guys know how I feel about that as well. So it's time to just spruce up this enclosure a bit and make it look a little bit better. So for this enclosure, what I wanted to do was give him like a full-on new background, but it's a 75-gallon super heavy tank, and I don't really have anywhere else to put Chaos. I didn't want to take him out for a couple of days to redo a whole background, so I came up with another idea instead. So I was like looking online on like Etsy and stuff, and a lot of people, I don't know if you guys have seen this, I don't even really know what it's called, but I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but people like to buy like framed moss to like hang up as art in their houses. And it looks really cool. Like, I'm all about nature, you guys know that, and to like add that to your house and just like, instead of like a picture, you just have framed moss. So I kind of wanted to apply this idea to Chaos's enclosure, that way I don't have to like redo the entire background. So what I did was I went to Home Depot with my friend Caitlin, and I got a big styrofoam pad. So I decided to use this as the background. The thing is, they came in like weird sizes, and it was obviously not the exact size of my 75-gallon tank. So I decided I'm gonna do the little like framed moss idea thing and make it reptile safe, and basically just hang up some art in the back of Chaos's enclosure for a background. And he's gonna have some fine moss art in his enclosure. That way it's not a clear glass background that I despise. So what I did was I took this styrofoam and I put spray foam on top of it, and then I basically just added some mood moss to it, which is like these pads of moss, and it stuck right into the foam. I used reptile safe silicone. I think it was a number 2. Those are the safe ones for reptiles. Or you can just go to joshsfrogs.com. All of their silicone is reptile safe as well, and it's meant for aquariums. So anyway, I used the silicone, I spread it all over these little pads that I was gonna do, and then I added a lot of coconut husk substrate on top of that and pushed it down so it would stick, and then basically let all of this sit for 24 hours. So it's the same exact thing that you do for a normal background, only I was doing it on styrofoam this time, and then cutting the styrofoam into little framed pieces that I would like to add to my enclosure. So total amount of time it took was about 2 days, just like any other project, because when you use the spray foam, you have to let it dry for 24 hours before you start adding the silicone, and then once you do the silicone, that also takes 24 hours to dry as well. So it is a 2-day project. So it was finally finished, and I was ready to set up the enclosure. So from there, I filmed and showed you guys what I did, because basically all I did was add it to the enclosure with double-sided tape, and then just add substrate and then put everything back in the enclosure. There wasn't really too much going on. I only made 2 changes in this enclosure, but those 2 changes just made all of the difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I did all of that. All right guys, so it has been a couple of days and all of these are dry. I don't know what to call them, if they're just like, kind of reminds me of just like a little picture frame or something. It's like little art that I'm just gonna hang along the background. So I decided to do this because Chaos's enclosure is 75 gallons and it's huge, and it would have been kind of awkward to like fill out the entire space, and it's also a little bit more difficult because I have this bamboo corner thing that's covering a filter. So that's why I thought it might be easier just to do it this way and just hang these up sporadically and then maybe fill in the rest of the background with like paper. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I need to take everything out. I'm also going to be giving Chaos substrate finally because I'm sick of this. Like he needs something new. This looks awful. So I have a huge bag of Repti bark. I'm going to use the rest of my coconut bedding and mix all of that up together and then put all of that in, hang the stuff up, and then see where we're at and how it looks. Also, I'm going to be hanging these up with double-sided tape. So they're very lightweight because it's styrofoam. So it should not be difficult to hang up whatsoever, especially with this tape. I love this stuff. So I'm going to get going now. Alright, so Chaos's enclosure is now finished, and of course it doesn't look that great because there's like an awful glare from the window, so that's another reason why I want to eventually just get rid of this 75-gallon and get another Zen Habitats. That way I can just like open it up and be like, look, no glare, and there's a chonch. So one day I'll be able to do that with Chaos, but for now this is what I'm working with. So I'm going to try to show you guys what it looks like. It's kind of weird. I have to like go in from above. So right now Chaos is in his cool hide, which is right in the center. So he is right here. He has a warm hide over here. It's this full, not that. It's this black little hide over here with the moss on top. So he has a heat pad and a thermostat. So that is where he gets his heat. And then I hung up his little new decorations, and it actually filled up the background way more than I even thought it would. So I think that it looks great. It's like such an awkward angle to show it inside of the enclosure though, so it's kind of annoying. So then over here he has like the bamboo thing that just covers up the old filter. Then he has this little thing to climb on. It's like a little branch, and then there's some fake plants around it. He has a water bowl. And then there's the cool hide kind of in the middle. And then he has this big thing of cork bark that he can climb on that goes all the way to the top, and it's wrapped in vine. And then he just has a fake plant there and a fake plant there. So I'm really glad I was able to give him substrate. I think it will help to increase the humidity. I'm just hoping that he's still going to eat his food on the substrate. So that will be the ultimate test. But this looks way better than it did before, so I'm very happy with it. And one final thing, because I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not, but so this tank, when I got it, it didn't have a lid. So I had to make my own lid, and I did that out of egg crate. And it actually wasn't the exact same size as the enclosure, so I had to like melt down the sides in order to make it fit exactly, which was really annoying, but I mean, at least it works. So that is what I have to do, and it fits in the grooves perfectly. There we go. So it's all completely flat, and then what I do is I put my books and stuff up here to weigh it down to make sure that Chaos cannot escape. There was a ton of tape over there on top of the filter because Chaos likes to climb inside of that, and I didn't know, for some reason at the very bottom of that there is a hole in the tank. So I literally came in here at nighttime to check on everyone, and I came over here and Chaos's head was literally going out of that hole, and of course this tank was over here more, so his head was like literally outside of the enclosure, and he was like about to escape, so I caught him in the act. So that is why all of that is taped up now. So overall, again, I only made 2 changes to this enclosure, but it just looks significantly better and just way different. So just like little changes like that can be so great for adding enrichment to your enclosure, because what I like about these little pads that I put in the background is that not only does it just make the background not clear and it kind of just is better, more pleasing to look at, but because it has moss on it as well as substrate, when I spray the enclosure at nighttime, I can spray those pads as well, and it will also help retain humidity within the entire enclosure. So when you're keeping a glass tank enclosure, it can be kind of difficult to keep the humidity up, so this is one way that is going to help. And then it also just adds enrichment. Chaos will be able to check these things out and sniff them and climb on them. And because it isn't one solid background, there's like little levels, so he can actually go on top of them and in between them, whatever he wants to do. So it's just way more enrichment in the enclosure, even though it's such a simple little background. And then also adding substrate as well. The substrate that I added will help to retain humidity as well. So I use coconut soil and Repti chip. No, not Repti chip, it's Repti bark. So these two things combined together will definitely help to increase humidity. As I spray the enclosure down, it will retain that and increase the humidity level of the entire enclosure. So I'm just hoping my ball python will still choose to eat on top of it. That's going to be the real test, whether or not this will be successful or not. But I think it was time to just try it, to add more enrichment and humidity to the enclosure, because he's been having perfect sheds and the humidity has been fine for him. But I just wanted more enrichment. And you guys know, like, paper towels, they just look bad. It just looked awful. I really hated how the enclosure looked, so it was time to just at least try. So I'm really happy with how things turned out. Now there's more enrichment, more things to do. Again, it was just very simple. I don't know, it's not really much of a video, but I figured I would just show it because it was a new idea that I wanted to try out, and maybe you guys can try it as well. So I don't know. I just thought I would share it with you because it's kind of fun to just try different things and share it with other reptile keepers and just keep the inspiration going, creativity levels up for just giving our animals new things. So that completes today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. One thing that I did realize I made a mistake on when I was making the little framed moss pad things, I did not put silicone around the edges and then apply the dirt around the edges. So you can see foam on the edge, which is annoying me. I'm just trying to cover it up with other things in the enclosure. Another thing you could do actually with the pads, because it's silicone, you can shove fake plants and wires into them to even add more enrichment or more things to climb on as well. So I may just do that to cover up the corners of the edges where you can see a little bit of the foam, because it's not really the best thing to look at. I would rather it just be brown and match everything else. So that's the one mistake that I did make that I realized, but there are ways around that as well. So I just thought I would mention it. And one more thing that I would like to add about the little like moss background things is that because there's double-sided tape, if you want to do a different enclosure, or you're doing an upgrade or something, it's kind of frustrating when you do all of the work to make a huge, amazing background and then it's just gone forever because you're moving to a new enclosure. With doing it this way, you can actually just peel them right off and apply it to your new enclosure as well and just use different tape. So that's one other plus about doing it this way. But again, I would recommend putting something around the edges because you don't want to see silicone and styrofoam on the edges. It's not very pleasing to the eye. But just thought I would add that as well. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I really appreciate you being here. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next video.